All right, so white signs. Let's look at some of these. Tell me what they mean. One-way signs, right? The one with the arrow pointing. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? It means one way. Okay, so how often do you see those? Do you see them a lot? Dude, you are like...
Yeah.
Yeah, where do you see them?
All over the place.
See-
From Duluth to
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you're talking up in Duluth and stuff. So I get in the car with kids all the time, and I'm like, so what are your experiences with one-ways? And I'm like, I don't know, I've never been on one. And I'm like, you would be surprised how often you are on one-way. Divided highway is technically a one-way. This traffic is on this side, there's a big divider, so your two traffic, you're going in one direction, nobody can come across that way. Technically on one-way, okay? All right, so we talked about the keep right one. What's that mean? Like, where would you see that out there in the real life world? What's gonna happen? Like, where's your scenario?
Oh, I always see it when I'm driving to school because there's a big island in the middle before there's a one-way right to a roundabout.
Yep.
So I always see the sign right when I'm coming out.
Yep. Cool.
Oh yeah.
What about for the roundabout signs? What does this one mean? I like this one because I see people kind of mess this one up a lot. What is that? That roundabout one.
It
What does
means that if you need to go to the left, you should stay in the inside lane.
Yep.
Or if you need to go right, go on the outside lane. And if you need to go straight, just pick one. Don't wait.
Yep. What about this?
If you're in the left lane, you can only go left.
Or if you're in the right lane, you can only turn.
Yep. You'll see this when you're coming up like a stoplight or a stop sign, an intersection. You'll see this where it's like, okay, I can only turn left here. I can only turn right here. There is one intersection though where I can go. This is in Stillwater. It's coming out of like the Cub parking lot, and it looks like this. But you can go straight too, but it's like, well, what lane do you do that from? Ashley, do you know? What lane would you do that from? Because you can cut across and go into the parking lot across the way.
The next one over.
But that's what it looks like. There is no straight. So you can
Well, from
either
the
turn
middle.
left or turn right, but it's like, I'm going straight here, so I guess I'm just going to go in the middle.
I'd go in the middle.
Just
You
go
would.
in the middle.
Won't you see him like coming out of the highway?
That means a parking lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
like if you're, yeah,
It was coming out
You
of
could.
the parking lot.
you could see those in a lot of different places.
What about this one? This one right here.
You can only go straight or left.
And if we're turning left from this lane, what lane do we turn into? See, like if we look at what we're. I'm gonna draw some pictures.
Like you should stay in the outer lane.
Yep, because we've got there's a road here.
That's a flat road.
Yep, we got this where you can turn left here, or this one is that's an arrow, left or straight. So if you're turning left from this lane, what lane are we turning into? So we've got right.
No, you go to the outside.
The one
Poorly
the
written
rightmost
arrows,
one.
sorry.
Yeah, so this one here, like this is actually going to be a one-way to one-way thing, I guess. But this one here, you turn here. If you're turning from this lane, you have to go up here. Does that make sense? Whatever lane you're in, you need to stay in that lane when you make that turn. I see people do it all the time. You'll see them turn from
My
here
dad
and
did
they
it
go
this
up
morning.
there. People do it all the time, but that's not the proper way to do it. No turn on red. So what does that mean? We just literally
can't
just
turn
talked
on
about it.
red. You
You
can't turn
cannot turn on a red light. Otherwise, normally you can, but you want to watch for that sign. If you make a complete stop and there's a gap in traffic. All right. What about the center lane only? And there was an example of that in here, wasn't there? That center lane only sign. Where was it? We were just talking about it. I am organized.
It's like
I
the-
I don't know, it's
right
like
there.
center lane is
Next
shared,
page.
Yes,
right?
that one.
It is to turn right.
Okay.
Or to left.
There's another word for this lane that I grew up with. Do you guys know what it's called?
No.
It's called the suicide lane.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't want to drive in this for any longer than you absolutely have to. So you don't want to pull into it if your turn is like way down there, because this is head-on traffic, okay? So you only want to get into it when you know your left-hand turn is there, then you move into it, because most likely they're going to be turning and nothing's going to happen. But you don't want to drive in that unnecessarily for long periods of time. You get in it to make your left-hand turn, and that's it. Okay? All right, what else? What else we got? Anything else? Is there anything in here that, when you were paging through it, that you haven't seen? Like out in real life driving? Are you guys observing signs out there?
The restricted lane ends. Oh, never mind, I've seen that one.
Like, that's when, like,
It's the carpool lane.
carpool lane.
haven't
I've
seen
never
the
seen a
Y
horse-drawn vehicle sign.
I've actually never seen that in real
I've
life.
never
That's
seen
brand
that.
new. Like they just added that last month.
Really?
Yep, that sign's never been in there before.
Yeah,
For
'cause
last
I've
month.
never seen it.
I've never seen any Y intersection aheads, but that's only because I don't
Ooh,
think
they
I've ever
have
been in a
those-
Y intersection.
They have those in St. Paul, be careful. They have some where it's like 5 roads meet the center. It's terrible.
Okay, so let's talk about what we're gonna highlight. Okay, so let's go back to your regulatory signs. Regulatory signs direct drivers to follow certain traffic laws. You must obey these signs in order to drive in a safe and lawful manner. If you do not obey these signs, you may be issued a traffic citation that may impose a fine. Highlight that. It will be on your permit test. Okay, restricted lanes. The diamond symbol indicates that the traffic lane is reserved for specific use or a certain type of vehicle. The lane may be designated for cars with 2 or more passengers, or for a bus, commercial vehicle, or bicycle use. Highlight that. It will be on your permit test. Okay, warning signs alert you to possible hazards ahead. For your own safety and the safety of others, you must be able to recognize them and react accordingly. Most warning signs are yellow. Yellow warning of pedestrian or bicycle crossing and school zones may either be yellow or fluorescent yellow-green. Some common warning signs are below. Highlight that. And so we see the railroad crossing. And then we talked about the exempt. Remind me again, what does that mean? What does it mean to be exempt on a railroad crossing?
When
Means buses and truck drivers don't need to stop before crossing the road.
Yep, that's right. Highlight that paragraph. Okay, school zones. These yellow or fluorescent yellow-green pentagon-shaped warning signs indicate that a school or an approved school crosswalk is ahead. Watch for children and be prepared to stop. Highlight that. Do you guys ever, like, when you're passing through a school zone, do you ever see the speed limit signs that are much lower and it says when school's in session and you'll see that lower? So does that mean you have to follow that speed limit at
No.
3 o'clock on Sunday? No, and a lot of times they'll have a flashing light, so when that light comes on, that's when you know you have to be obeying that.
That's what I don't get. I was at a baseball game and my dad couldn't drive me home because he had to go to softball, so one of my teammates' dads drove me home and we were crossing by a school lane and we were going like the speed limit, but the cop pulled us over and goes, "You're supposed to go while school's in session," when it was like 8 o'clock at night.
I don't know what to tell you, I don't know. Crazy, I don't know.
Maybe school was in session.
Maybe
There
that
a
cop
game
just wanted to
going
pull
on?
us
After
over.
school sports, conferences, you
Yeah,
never know when kids are there.
conferences,
I
maybe school
personally
night.
always go the speed limit of what? The school zone.
I kind of do too.
All the time.
I kind of do too. It's just because you never know. Because usually, like kids are even still playing at playgrounds and stuff. A lot of neighborhood kids will run over there and use it as their park. Like I don't know. I always slow down. So for school crossings, watch for children in crosswalk and be prepared to stop. Drivers must yield to all pedestrians in crosswalks. The school crossing sign with the arrow below is the standard marking. Highlight that. All right, no passing zone. The sign is on the left side of a two-way highway. I want you guys to highlight the left side of two-way highway. It warns of the beginning of a no passing zone. Okay, slow-moving vehicle emblems. I'm gonna have you highlight this part. 30 miles an hour or less, such as farm vehicles, is when you see that. This emblem must be displayed on all vehicles that travel at speeds of 30 miles an hour or less, such as farm implements or horse-drawn vehicles, when they are making use of public roads. Adjust your vehicle speed to prepare to change lanes when you see the sign. So can you pass them?
Most of the time they pull over though.
Most of the time, they're very courteous, and if they see cars coming up behind them, they will kind of like, they'll move over so it's
Yeah,
easy for you to pass.
Yeah.
Most of the time, that's the case.
I've just realized that because I live a lot of tractors that drive along the road, and they literally, you'll drive up behind them, just, and like almost stop for you to just go around them.
Yep, they understand, they know that they're impeding traffic, I mean, they know that. Alright, what else we got? You guys have seen curb signs, right, roundabouts. What about when you see a yellow speed limit sign, what does that mean?
It's like caution, but
It is the recommended speed limit when you see the yellow one. So a lot of times you'll see that like right here on the curve, that's 35 miles an hour, that's the recommended, like, this is what you should be doing when you go around that curve.
oh yeah.
I see that all the time.
Yeah, now that you think about it, you're like, oh, it's yellow. So traffic signal ahead, this one here, why do you think they have that sign out there on the road? Because if you look up, like, would you just kind of see the traffic signal? Yeah.
I see it a lot with the stop sign ahead, not really traffic.
Yeah. But that'll pop up when you see it, like at the next intersection, there's gonna be a traffic light. So like if you're on a highway doing, 55 miles an hour, and there hasn't been an intersection, you might see that saying, oh yeah, okay, so I'm gonna have to start slowing down now because we've got an intersection coming up.
They replace those with roundabouts now. A lot, like highways that come to like straight up intersections for a long time. They tend to do that if it's in like rural places where it's like super high speed. They'll make it roundabout.
Yep. They're working on it. All right, so let's look at the, like the work zone ones. Page 57. Okay, so these work zone ones. Let's see. Drums, cones, tubes, flashing arrows, and orange and white stripe barriers are all used to keep traffic out of construction area or areas where it is dangerous to drive. You may also see people holding orange signs, flags, or stop signs giving directions in the work zones. Always follow their direction. So if there's a guy standing in the road holding up stop sign, that means stop, okay? Because most likely there's gonna be, they've got a single lane that they're working with and they're allowing some traffic to go through and then they switch back and forth. So you have to pay attention to that guy. And you also have to stop and wait for him to turn it to slow. I was with a student once who stopped and then like started to go and I'm like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? He said, well, I stopped. I'm like, you have to stop and wait. Like you actually have to wait for them to give you the next direction.